Sky Sports News is Ben Ransom on Savinho and Omar Marmoush's potential departures. Inter Milan fully agreed a deal with Liverpool for Curtis Jones. Atalanta midfielder Edison says he has no idea how his move to Manchester United failed earlier this summer. And Marcus Rashford has expressed his desire to focus on playing football. Here are your daily Premier League news headlines. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel to another edition of the Daily Premier League News Headlines, where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. My name's Lee The Dorset Spur, and if you're watching on YouTube, please do like, comment and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Okay, so let's get into it. Sky Sports News' Ben Ransom on Savinho and Omar Marmoush potential departures. Both players, Savinho and Marmoush, are essentially surplus to requirements at Manchester City. It's been pretty apparent through the summer. Enzo Maresca has said that in the case of both players, they are very much entitled to stay and fight for their first team place. But equally, he understands, a bit like James Trafford, when a player wants to play first team football and they're not guaranteed a starting shirt, then the club, if they receive an offer that's acceptable, will not stand in their way. That applies to both players. City would need to replace these players. They would definitely, I'd say, have to replace one. I think they would like to and would aim to replace two. But the transfer window is closing in less than a fortnight. These are big positions to fill so late in the window. Inter Milan fully agreed a £30 million, €35 million deal for Liverpool for Curtis Jones late last night. The player has now been given permission to travel for a medical. The Italian club have already signed 3 players from English clubs this summer: Stones and Akanji from Man City and Jed Spence from Tottenham. Atalanta midfielder Edison says he has no idea how his move to Manchester United failed earlier this summer. The Brazilian midfielder was due to move to Old Trafford after the World Cup, but the move then broke down after a medical issue which left the Italian club stunned. Since that move failed, United have signed Youri Tielemans, Andre Santos, while Carlos Baleba is about to join him from Brighton. Edison, meanwhile, has signed a new contract at Atalanta. I honestly don't know what happened, Edison told Sky in Italy. I always had interest from other clubs and I could have gone to another English side. The tests went well. I don't know what changed. I've been with Atalanta for 4 years and always played. I could have just waited to see what happened, but the great rapport with the club convinced me to stay and sign a new contract. Jose Mourinho has revealed he doesn't need Rodri after the Spanish midfielder chose Barcelona over Real Madrid. Mourinho's Real were once frontrunners to sign Rodri from Manchester City, but a change of heart saw him move to the Catalan club for £64 million. Mourinho said, I spoke to him a couple of times and Real Madrid made him a very good offer. Mourinho revealed this in an interview with El Chingarito. Rodri has doubts. He hesitated, and Rodri's doubts created doubts for me. Real Madrid is a dimension that cannot have players who second guess themselves. I don't need Rodri. We have solutions, quality players. Going on, Jose Mourinho has revealed how he convinced Vinicius Junior to stay at Real Madrid amidst interest from Arsenal. The Brazilian winger signed a new contract at the Spanish Giants after 18 months of negotiations. Arsenal were ready to pounce to sign Vinicius were he not to agree a new contract, as a previous deal had only 1 year left. Vinicius had fallen in love with Real Madrid. The only thing I told him was, Vinny, where do you want to go? You've only been in Brazil and you only know Real Madrid. You only understand Real Madrid when you leave. When you leave, that's when you realise what Real Madrid is. Don't leave, it's not worth it. I think what he has felt in terms of the group's growth, the way we've been working and developing, has given him a very important feeling. Marcus Rashford expressed his desire to focus on playing football without his name being mentioned every day in response to Gary Neville's attempting to start a discussion about the Manchester United forward. Excuse me. The 28-year-old replied to a teaser clip from an upcoming episode of Stick to Football podcast in which Jamie Carragher expressed his frustration when co-host Neville asked for thoughts on Rashford. Rashford is back at Manchester United after spending last season on loan with Barcelona, who he helped win the Spanish League title. His last competitive appearance for Man United came under former manager Ruben Amorim in December 2024, but he is in line to feature in Michael Carrick's squad for Saturday's Premier League opener against Hull. In the clip posted on the Overlaps X account, Neville holds up his hands and says, "Oh, Marcus Rashford, what do we think?" It drew an expletive from exasperated Carragher, who then says, "Can we do a podcast without mentioning Rashford? Stop it. Oh my God. It's like the Trent and Rashford, like a little bit part of the podcast, the Trench part or the Rashford part." Rashford replied to a clip in an post on X saying, "Thanks, Jamie. It would be great to be able to get my head down and play football without my name being mentioned every day." And finally, Wolves have confirmed the signing of Jordan James from Rennes. He joins on loan with an option to buy. The loan fee is £1.7 million. The option to buy is around £8.6 million. So, my thoughts on these stories. Well, obviously, I'm really excited about the Savinho and Omar Marmoush potential departures, because all the talk about that is talking about them coming to Tottenham. So that would be really good news for us to get this final piece of the puzzle in place ready for the new season, especially if we can do that before the end of the transfer window, and the players will be available to play very, very quickly in the league. It sounds to me like they are surplus to requirements. It sounds to me like they are willing to let them go, provided they can get the money that they want. And we are simply waiting for the dominoes to start to fall. That's my view on that. And I hope that that gets sorted very, very soon. And in terms of the transfer market, this moves so quickly that actually, whilst I'm recording this deal could be done. So if this is out of time, then apologies from that point of view. Curtis Jones moving from Liverpool after such a long time, being there as a kid and so on. £30 million, good money when you consider we've only got a similar amount for Jed Spence, who's just had a great World Cup with England. Interesting one about this one with Edison. He's unsure why he failed his medical while the deal's been pulled or whatever. So I'm sure that will come out in due course once the window is probably closed. But yeah, it's a strange one. And he says he had other options, but decided to stay at Atalanta. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you had an opportunity to come to England and play in the Premier League and get that Premier League money, I think that may sway you slightly. But who knows? Jose Mourinho, being Jose Mourinho, is so bullish, doesn't care. Moves on, and I think it's right. Yeah, let's be honest. It's what makes him the special one, in inverted commas. Rodri would have been a great addition to their squad, but at the end of the day, he went to Barcelona. So as far as he's concerned, sod him. He's gone. He didn't show that he was fully committed, and so that raises doubts. You can't argue with that, to be honest with you. Vinicius Junior, was he ever really going to move to Arsenal, or was he just using that as an opportunity to get a better deal? I think he probably is trying to get a better deal, but what do I know? And finally, just this thing on Marcus Rashford. I actually really like Marcus Rashford. I cannot understand why there is such negativity around him. I know a lot of people have talked about his wages and so on, being a blocker for lots of clubs and all that, but he's a quality player. We even saw it in the World Cup. He didn't get to play as much as I personally would have liked to have seen him play, but he's still a great player in my view, and I think he's a great addition. And I think if he doesn't leave Manchester United, I think he has a great season there if he gets to play. I really do, and that will put a big up people's backsides, won't it? Gary Neville doing what Gary Neville does. You know, he always does that kind of stuff. He has to create that clickbait discussion to try to keep everything kind of going on and so on. And I expect this response from Rashford will help that no end. So well done on that point of view. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. I'm Lee The Dorset Spur. You'll find me on my own channel. If you'd like to pop over and say hi over there, I'd really appreciate it. If not, that's not a problem. I'll see you on the next one. And as always, up the Spurs.